Hey everyone, when we first talked about this redesigned frame from Trek, the Trek Marlin, I mentioned to you that it's very versatile and I showed it to you with plus tires installed. Now I have cross tires, 35mm 700C tires on it. I used it on the rollers, I used it on the road, but I'm planning to take it a bit off-road or a bit more serious mountain biking, and definitely a few of the components on it, starting with the drivetrain, they're too flimsy to withstand that. So why don't we take a closer look and see what kind of upgrades I have in store for it. I already have a lot of videos on my channel talking about upgrades like this, but in this video I'm going to bring everything together and show you what steps need to be done. In the Marlin lineup, the 6 or 7 model are worth considering, and I said that because they come with 8 or 9 speed drivetrains that bring you this, a standard Shimano Freehub body that you see over here, and you will be able to install right on that wheel something like what I have in mind to install here. This is an 11-speed drivetrain based on an XT cassette 1142, and together with it I'm gonna have an SLX shifter and derailleur. I have a video covering in detail how to install an 11-speed drivetrain. I'm not going to repeat that here. So for now, I'm just going to remove the 8-speed components and put the link to the installation video in the description below. All the tools that you need for this upgrade would probably be in a cheap tool set like this that you can find online. On top of that, you're going to need some sort of a torque wrench. It will be highly recommended, especially if you don't have a lot of experience wrenching on your bike. Use a chain tool to remove your chain, and hex keys to disconnect everything else. If you want to look like a pro, make sure you remove that dork disc that's behind your cassette. As much as I want to minimize cost, the crankset that comes with the bike uses these riveted chain rings, so you can't really replace them. Also, the bottom bracket is a cartridge bottom bracket that's square taper, so you cannot just replace this crankset with one that would have a standard spider. I need that because I want to have a 1x drivetrain with, you see an oval here, chainring. This uses 104 BCD. So I have decided to replace the whole crankset with this Shimano one that is old, and that comes with what's called a Hollowtech bottom bracket, so I'm gonna have to replace both. Turning a triple into a single chainring crankset, I already have that video on my channel, and I'll make sure to put the link in the description below. To remove the cranks, you are going to need an 8mm hex wrench and what's called a crank puller, but I'm going to have all these details documented in a separate video with the link in the description below. And that brings me to the fork. This uses a straight steerer, and I plan to replace the stock Suntour with this Recon RL. I already have a video, a quick check of this particular fork on the channel. With it, I am going to use a Cane Creek 40 headset, a straight 1.1/8", and the installation of the fork itself is not that complicated, and I have it covered entirely in the How to Build a Bike from Scratch series of video. And probably the only tools that are not mentioned in that video are a mallet and a dowel that you're going to use to bang out the old cups from your frame in order to install the new ones. Some of you also asked me if it's possible to install a tapered fork here on this frame. The frame is for an 1.1/8" head tube, but with the proper headset adapter that's going to sit here at the bottom, you can actually install the taper fork on this bike, no problem. So after all that work, what did we end up with? Let's take a closer look. I mentioned that the wheels are perfectly fine, and you can see that Shimano spline Freehub, but I decided to keep these for the road and trainer. And on the bike I installed some spare wheels with the same 160mm rotors, just like the original ones came with. One thing that I couldn't get away from is obviously the QR front and rear that this bike uses, and that's going to be probably the only negative that I can find. But moving on from that, why don't we start with seat, and seat post, they're perfectly fine, didn't touch that. I reused the handlebar. I have replaced the 70mm stem with a shorter one. This is a 50. You know that I've installed a King Creek headset together with the fork, and that is still a 100mm fork, so I kept the geometry the way it was designed. Here I have Shimano Dior M615 brakes, but the Tektro hydraulic that the bike comes with are perfectly fine. I installed some different grips, but the original ones are fine if you like them. This is an SLX 11 speed shifter, and with that SLX 11 speed shifter I have the following. First, this was a triple. I turned it into a single. Obviously I have a video about that if you were wondering. That's an oval, a 32 tooth. That is a SRAM PCX1 chain. In the rear I have an 11 speed 1142 from Shimano, and the mech or rear derailleur is a GS SLX 11 speed from Shimano as well. The cranks that I installed are 170mm to give me a bit more clearance if I am to use it with the plus tires. Pedals here are Shimano 520s, the cheap ones, but indestructible ones. And in this configuration with bottle cage and everything, all the changes, the bike comes up to 26 pounds. I started with 32 pounds, so we lost 6 pounds in the process. The Bontrager tires were pretty good, actually similar to this, and for early riding impressions, the fork and the drivetrain definitely make a big difference. The fork because of the splashness, the drivetrain because you don't have a front shifter and you don't have the chain slapping around because this is a clutch derailleur like all 11 speeds from Shimano are. The other things that I've done, you can see a little bit of protection here, and yeah, I'll put the link for that. It's a 3M tape, and I'm probably also going to protect the frame a little bit here and underneath, and maybe the top too, but tiny bit, with just the 3M tape because it's fairly easy to do. So what do you guys think about this upgraded Trek Marlin? I'm really excited the way it turned out, looking forward for using it years to come. What do you plan on upgrading on your Trek Marlin? 2020s are out. The only thing that's changed is the color, so everything we've done here would apply to those models as well. In my original video I talked to you about why Marlin 6 is probably the best bang for your buck, and I'm going to reiterate the fact that you can reuse the wheels. It's going to keep your cost down, and Marlin 7 doesn't improve much on the original fork that it comes with. And that is pretty much all I have for you folks. If you have any questions, let me know in the section below. If you like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, keep an eye on social media, and until next time, I will see you folks on the trails. Cheers guys. Cheers.